So today I'm actually going to use the phase cooler for the first time in absolutely ages. I haven't used this for quite a few months now. I'm going to be overclocking on 775 on phase cooling for the first time. I've got my Core 2 Quad Extreme, that's a 9650 in there. I've got my G.Skill Pi memory. I'm going to try and beat a score I got a couple of days ago, 500 points in Cinebench R15. And that is for the HWBOT Team Cup 2015. I think it's stage 3, but we'll see. The scores I'll be trying to beat are these here. As you can see, I've crossed out the first people I've already beaten on air cooling. I just used like a Fantex cooler to beat those people, but I couldn't quite get to the people on phase cooling on air cooling. So 507's the first target. I reckon I'll probably be able to do that because I was limited by heat on this chip on air cooling. I could get 518, I'm not entirely sure, it depends on the efficiency and whether I can get that 4.65, 4.7 gigahertz range, I reckon. So we'll see. I doubt I'll be getting 530 on LN2. That's quite a good score, I have to admit. Someone had some pretty good memory there, and also a lot of other people using DDR3. Whereas I'm still on DDR2 on this board, unfortunately. But we'll see what we can do. I think a few people have actually beaten that as well and got up to 580 or something, which is pretty impressive. But I'll see what I can do, see if I can get another couple of places. I haven't actually even turned the power supply on yet, or run this rig at all. So I'm not entirely sure if it boots, whether I've over tightened these too much. I do actually need to get some springs for the mounts here, because what happens is the armor flex that I've got on the back of the motherboard compresses slowly as I tighten these, so as I'm benching I have to go around and tighten them every few minutes so that it compensates for the compression, otherwise it comes unstuck from the CPU, which isn't ideal. So I'm going to turn the phase cooler on first. I'm probably going to leave the phase cooler for about 5 or 10 minutes just to get down to temperature. It will go down to about minus 55, minus 60, as this is quite a big unit. I did have to clear a load of crap off the top of it because I had a load of fans and stuff here for a bit of extra cooling out of the window. I've also separated my main PC, which is currently just doing folding at home, with this side panel to sort of make the heat go towards me rather than this rig. I've got a few fans on here, just a small fan over the north bridge. I've got a fan there just going over that top VRM heatsink, and a fan there which will be taking in what little air comes down from there from my open window. I've got my ambient temperature thing here, you can see 19 degrees. So yeah, I'm going to turn this on now and see how it goes. It is quite noisy. I am also going to try and film or do a time lapse or something. I've got my tripod on top of the phase cooler here. I'm not entirely sure how that will come out, as the phase cooler does tend to be quite loud and shaky, so I'm not entirely sure whether it'll vibrate the camera too much or anything like that. So we'll have to see. Anyway, I'm going to turn it on now and you'll be able to hear the lovely noise that it makes. "22 degrees. Starting to go down now. I have actually put foam down all of these side panels because they were rattling really badly. Minus 18, or plus 18 rather. There we go, it's properly kicked in now, it'll start going down really fast. Minus 23, minus 26, super. Gets down to minus 50 fairly quickly, then it tends to slow down when it's going to about minus 55. It can go down to minus 65 sometimes if it overshoots a bit, but we'll see. I'll probably film it down to about minus 50 and then cut it off and see what temperature it goes down to. Right, it's been on for about 5 minutes now, and as you can see it's got down to minus 59 degrees Celsius. This tube has actually moved a bit because it does move as it gets pressurised. I'm just going to give these a couple of turns. See, that one's quite loose there. Right, I'm going to try and turn the system on. Power supply is on. Little lights there are on, so I'm going to power it on, see if it works. Hands are spinning. You have signal to the keyboard. There we go, we're in the BIOS. Now I was actually running a locked CPU yesterday, so I'm going to just change the settings down to something a bit more sensible for this chip. 400 I reckon I'll go for. Put the RAM speed up. Change the voltage. Start off at 1.5 volts. I'm going to put the memory back down to 2.2 volts and North Bridge and that down to that. Everything else looks okay. Right, we're going to just do a first boot, just checking a few of the settings. See, we're at minus 55 because it's under a bit of load now. We are nearly in Windows. 1 second, I'm just going to have to try and get it to actually boot properly first, that would help. Right, now you can see we've managed to get into Windows, it just needed rebooting for some reason. It's running at 4.2 because that's what I've set it to in the BIOS. I've just got a little tool here which is called SetFSB version 2.214.13498, and the clock generator for this motherboard is that long number there. This tool just allows you to change the front side bus from within Windows, like on the fly. So you just press get, well, you have to find out what your motherboard is first, then you press get FSB, and then it'll have a slider 400. As you can see here, we're at 399.98, and then when you want to change it, all you have to do here is click this arrow, or you can use the slider to go along as well. Click set FSB, and as you'll see in the corner there, the frequency's changed. It's now at 4.3. It usually takes CPU-Z a couple of attempts to catch up, but it's caught up now, as you can see. You can see the memory speed will have also gone up, and also you can see your Cinebench score there of what I got at 4.2. This is how you bench to start with. Just with this, I put this on high priority so that it's not real time and frozen. You can see what it's doing. It'll do a proper blue screen, because sometimes if you have it so that it's running real time, it won't put a blue screen out if it freezes, and so you can't see whether it's frozen or not. So I just run it in high to start with, and then once it crashes or blue screens, I'll go back to the previous setting and do a run in real time and see if that works. And then if that works, I'll see what the blue screen was, and then I'll adjust my settings in the BIOS accordingly, and then carry on using this tool here to overclock it higher and higher in Windows. So that is basically it for now. I'll see how high I can get with this chip. I managed to get 4.5 gigahertz out of it last time on air cooling, and that was on 1.575 volts. So we'll have to see how high we can get with the phase cooler. I'll probably be able to go to maybe 1.7 volts on this CPU, so we might get maybe 4.6, 4.7 out of it. We'll have to see. It's done that run again. You can see 470 scores coming up nicely already. So I'll cut it off here, carry on doing this for a bit, and then I'll give you an update later on when I get up to say 500. So as you can see here, we're already at 4.5 gigahertz on only 1.5 volts, which is really impressive. I'm actually slightly higher than I was on air cooling at a much lower voltage. This chip scaled really well on cold. Got 492, but I'm not running it real time. And also I've got these two programs open as well. You can see minus 59 on the phase cooler. I'm getting under load temps of about minus 56, minus 55 at the minute. I'm going to go to the next stage, which is 5.569. Going to run this, see if this works. There she goes. Minus 57, you can see now that it's under load. As it gets about halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, I'll show you the temperature of the phase cooler again. You can see CPU-Z hasn't managed to catch up with front side bus there, but it's still going. Temperature of the phase cooler's got down to minus 55. This phase cooler is actually a lot more powerful than most other single stage phase coolers. your average sort of smaller phase cooler, which can fit in a large computer case. Like a full ATX tower can only get down to like -30, -35. This is a full custom unit, as you can see, that's huge and sort of standalone. So it's a lot bigger. You can see -55. It has just finished the benchmark. Got 499, 5.5 gigahertz. As you can see now, the temperature's starting to go back down again. It's at -57. I'm gonna carry on to 4.6. This is looking to go really well so far, although now I've said that it'll probably break or something. There we go, 4.6 and CPU Z. Run it again. Do this over and over until something crashes. Right, here we are. 4.675. We've had our first error. Cut out about a third of the way through. I'm going to go back into the BIOS now, increase the voltage, see what the memory speed was getting to. We're on 445 on the front side bus and 10.5 on the multiplier, and see what's going on. Right then guys, we've hit 518 here, 4.752 gigahertz. That means these two people on phase cooling are pretty much gone, and the guy on dice, well, I've matched both their scores. I only need to get that one extra point to beat both of them, and that should put me up 3 places already. So we're going well so far. We're at 1.55 volts now. The load temp on the phase cooler is 52 degrees, -52 degrees Celsius. So the phase cooler is still handling this chip alright. So it's going well. Well, I've just run it in real time at 4.76 gigahertz. Got 525. That means these two guys on phase cooling and dice can be crossed off the list as well. Next up, beating people on LN2 if I can get the screenshot of this and CPU Z to open properly. Yeah, this is going a lot better than I expected, I have to admit. The main challenge benching this CPU and this motherboard is actually getting CPU Z to open. As you can see, I have to open it like a few hundred times before it actually opens properly, which is a bit annoying, and it also likes to freeze on me a lot. But looks like I've managed to get 3 screens up, which is good. So I'll carry on and see how much higher I can go. As you can see, I'm still only 1.55 volts in the BIOS, so I've got plenty of headroom there. Phase cooler got down to -54 on that last run, so that's doing good as well. Well, this is booting up. I've just had a look on HWBOT just now on the HWBOT website, and as you can see, the guy who got 530, or his team, have managed to go all the way up to 557 at like 5.1 gigahertz. So there's now a huge jump between third and second place, and first place is just miles off, 582. That was at 5.3 gigahertz on LN2, so I don't know whether I'll be able to beat these guys, but hopefully I'm going to get a strong score to keep my team in third place. I want to be the best on sort of, we'll say, over -100 degree sort of cooling. So that's dice, phase, cascade, I don't know whether I'll be able to beat these guys on LN2, to be honest, because they are running some seriously high speeds that I don't think I'll be able to reach, but we'll have a go. Right then, I've just got 538 at 4.894. It won't do it at 4.9. It's very weird. I was looking at the temperature gauge on the phase changer, and it seems to run the entire benchmark all the way through, but unfortunately when it gets to the very end, Cinebench freezes even though it's finished the benchmark, and it says it's still running on the screen, which is quite strange, because, well, it's finished the benchmark basically, but for some reason it still thinks it's running, and I'm not entirely sure why, but it just wouldn't do it basically. So yeah, I think I'm just going to run a little bit more voltage through it, see if I can get it to do 4.9. I would love to hit 5 gigahertz, even though it would be quite pointless. I've just looked on HWBOT, I don't think I'll hit 557, but the rankings for the Core 2 Quad Extreme, Delhi is currently first by absolutely miles, 5.2 gigahertz, 569. The guy in second, bass player, he's got 530 on LN2, whereas Delhi was just on cascade cooling, I think, so that's probably a similar temperature, because a good cascade setup can be very similar temperature wise to LN2, especially if your CPU has a cold bug. So we'll have to see. Anyway, I'm going to take this screenshot here before it crashes or some bullshit like that. I think this is the most I'm going to get out of it. The scaling's not going very well now. It's incredibly unstable. Can barely run the benchmark now, but it's at 4.919 gigahertz. Managed to get squeeze an extra point out of it. As usual, CPU Z won't open. The phase cooler's getting down to minus 51 degrees Celsius, which is quite warm. The hottest I've ever seen the phase cooler under load is about, I think it was minus 48 degrees, but that was under an AMD FX 8320 on like 1.7 volts or something. So I'm going to leave it at this for now with this CPU. 539 is a pretty good score. It will get me third place, which isn't too bad. That's 36 points. I don't think I can reach the guy in second place on liquid nitrogen, as the scaling on this CPU's not going very well anymore. I reckon if I really pushed it, like, maybe I could get 5 gigahertz out of it, but to be honest, I don't really think it's worth it, because I'd have to run like 1.8 volts. I'm not sure. The phase cooler might get like too hot or something, so yeah, I think I'll just leave it here, and I'll try and concentrate on getting CPU Z open now, as it's completely refusing to open, which is nice. So yeah, here it is, as you can see, minus 55 degrees. I didn't bother doing a time lapse in the end because I didn't think it would be very exciting, just looking at this. So yeah, I think that's it for this chip anyway. I might try a few other chips that I've got, see if they can do any better, but I think I ran into memory problems with my other chips unless I go to really low memory speeds. So this with the unlocked multiplier is quite helpful because I can tune the memory speed to what I want exactly. So anyway, see you in a bit.